This video has been brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/megacapital G. Over 180,000 titles to choose from on your Apple or Android device. Cancel anytime with no obligations. I'm listening to The Amazing Wrestling for My Life by Shawn Michaels. Link in the description. What's up, YouTube? Capital G here. Got some absolutely amazing and awesome duels for you guys to check out. Has Cap G finally found a pendulum deck that he actually likes? Because I think that this could be it. This is such a strange and weird concoction. I don't think any of you guys will be able to predict where exactly it is going to go. Well, unless you looked at the thumbnail of the video, in which I will probably... Actually, no, I'm not going to give it away. But yeah, I don't think any of you guys are going to really be able to tell where this deck is going to go. So we're going to go ahead and roll this. First duel is going to be against the Time Thieves, aka the Phantom Thieves. That's a Persona reference. Anyways, I think that Time Thieves are up first, and he's going to make a pretty legitimate turn one. I think if you're playing Time Thieves, the bare minimum you need to be doing is dropping a Redoer, trying to draw a card. Maybe you get lucky and get a trap off of your opponent's deck, but this is pretty much your ideal opening, is getting Redoer and Perpetua on the field, because at that point it pretty much guarantees that you can get a trap card onto your Redoer as a material, and at that point you have, you know, a card that can dodge removal, and it can also spin one of your opponent's cards, non-targeting, if I'm not... No, I think Redoer might target, but I feel like it's not a cost to actually detach. By the way, he did actually get himself a draw, and drew into a pretty good card. The 3 tactical talents is a strong card against established boards. Anyways, we'll go ahead and roll this. Now, of course, he will activate Perpetua. He'll get that trap card on there for the removal, and his opponent's going to drop Dark Worm into the graveyard. Now, I found this very bizarre that he did not activate the Dark Worm as the first thing in his turn, because usually that's kind of like SOP with these pendulum builds. If they're playing Dark Worm, they want to resolve the card like as soon as possible. But he's actually going to go for Sky Iris, and he's going to start setting up his board first. And obviously, when you go Sky Iris, something that needs to destroy another card, your opponent has a great card to spin. They can just spin the other card that Sky Iris wants to target, and then basically they're getting a 2-for-1sies at that point. Still has not used the Dark Worm in his graveyard. And once he commits to the Pendulum Summon, well, my understanding is with Dark Worm, you have to have no monsters on the field, so now he can't use it. And I was just like, wait, what? Why did he not use Dark Worm? But it will come into play a little later in this turn. So he's actually going to go for that new Chaos Dragon, or that Chaos Ruler that's coming out in Rise of the Duelist. And this guy's pretty good. He's going to kick out, you know, a free +1 from his hand, which is kind of cool. He's actually going to normal summon, of all things. Like, but can you believe this? He normal summoned the Dark Worm that he already had in the graveyard. Strange duels, right? And he's going to also use Tempest from the graveyard. And I'm like, okay, so now we're going to the dragon side. It's going to get a Dragon Ravine, start recovering some of that advantage. And I was kind of not sure where exactly this was going. Guard Dragons, obviously very strong synergy with Pendulums, whether we have Destrudo or not, because there are so many powerful, you know, dragon monsters within Pendulum. So he's going to continue on and check what's actually going to be dropped into the graveyard. Is this Pendulum deck secretly a Dragon Maid deck? And that is the only reason why Cap G likes it? The answer is probably yes. Now, he actually is going to summon the Chaos Armageddon, that former YCS prize card, and he's going to go into Triple Burst Dragon so that he can pull some Aura straight out of his deck. And that means we are now going to be doing some Dragon Maid combos. Chamber is going to be summoned by Nurse. Now he can go for the Dragon Maid Fusion, the Dragon Maid Xiao. And this is good because his ending board, while doesn't look super impressive, Xiao is such a fantastic card because she has built-in negation when she leaves the field of her own volition or your opponent's doing. She floats into you know, House Dragon Maid, and then you can kind of start popping your opponent's cards, and it's pretty good. Now, I also went for Hieratic Seal of Heavenly Spears, which gives him a removal, and now he's kind of got the Dragon Maid side going. This is a Pendulum deck that is fully converted into a Dragon Maid deck. Make no mistake. I think that he's going to negate the Winder in hand. He's also going to bounce the Perpetua, and this is the one way his opponent can capitalize. he has used monster effects. He could activate 3 tactical talents. We'll see if he wants to draw some cards off of that. I think that's his best option, is to draw 2. He drew evenly matched, but he has cards on field, so that's not really going to work here. He goes for, you know what? I have to say this. Exciton Knight would have actually been nuts here. I mean, he probably doesn't have it, but it just would have been something that would have been incredibly good here. He instead is going to go for F-Zero, and that's the one that negates and steals. I don't think you want to activate any monster effects while this guy is on the field, because your opponent can take... Actually, no, excuse me, that's not it. Yeah, he's ranking up into it now. That's the one that he had before, just steals during the battle phase. This is the one that negates, and also, yeah, this is the one that negates, and then also it steals the monster. So he's going to take house, but she is actually, I believe, just going to end up back on his side of the field. He is going to go ahead and summon a copy of Xiao, and then I guess you know what, doesn't even matter that he took the House Dragon Maid. This was crazy. He's actually going back after using the Dragon Maid side. He's going back to the Pendulum side because he still has scales. He's going to summon Absolute Dragon, and then he's going to link that away into another seal, and then get a Vortex Dragon for a bounce. Oh my goodness, this was so impressive. I was like, bruh, this guy's actually making me like a Pendulum deck, because it started as Pendulums, then it turned into a Dragon Maid deck, and then it went back into a Pendulum deck, and this is actually just kind of crazy. All dragon everything. He's not able to, I think, finish his opponent off in this battle phase, but it doesn't matter because he now has double negations on field, 3 interruptions when you're talking about the Hieratic Seal, and I don't think his opponent will ever be able to resolve that copy of Evenly Matched because he has too many cards committed to the board. So I saw that duel and I was like, oh my goodness, I might actually want to build this dang deck because that was absolutely phenomenal. I got one more duel for you guys to check out. This one is going to be against the Invoked Dragma build, which is going first. As we saw, I believe, yeah, we saw Time Thieves go first in the first duel. It's going to drop that copy of Invoke Macabre, then has the Amirage to give it a little bit of protection if he so needs it. Sends Bastard Dragon to the graveyard, just kind of as a I guess, a way of setting up his search during the end phase, and then he's going to pass it. People have to keep in mind when it comes to Dragma, you also have a Fleur de Lis, who is kind of like a disruption card, because if your opponent goes into the extra deck, you summon this during their turn, and then you negate that monster. So it's like a hand trap that's kind of like a permanence for extra deck monsters. Anyways, he's going to get rid of Dragon's Ravine, and then he's going to negate the Art Dragon, so he's just throwing out all his negation pretty much ASAP, but it's perfectly fine because he still does have the Pendulum Summon, and that gives him the ability to Pendulum Summon, and anytime you have Harmonizing, you pretty much should have at least somewhat of a combo going for the same thing that he did, but Chaos Dragon will be, or Chaos Ruler will be negated, so he didn't really get much there, but it's perfectly fine because now that his opponent has used his disruptions in the main phase, or main phase 2, he can still go into some of his other monsters. He's going to go into Hieratic Seal, he's going to get a bounce, and then he's going to summon Parlor, which I don't think we saw in the first duel. Now, it didn't really look impressive, but what he's really just trying to do is he's just trying to set up cleanup, and that way he can reborn any of his Dragon Maid monsters if they so happen to die, which I think that is very likely that Parlor is actually going to die here. I mean, she does have 0 attack and 0 defense. He's going to pop a Pendulum Scale with Nethys, and then he's going to search during the end phase. The question is, can he get the card he needs? He gets a Pendulum Scale, and he is in there like swimwear. I don't think anyone says that anymore. It's kind of like an OG thing. He's going to get Nurse, and then that's going to bring back Parlor, and then Parlor is going to activate her effect, which drops the Fusion card in the graveyard. He now has the ability to Fusion Summon by bouncing one of his monsters, actually bounce House, and then he's going to use the Revival effect. We didn't see this in the first duel, I don't believe. Actually, we might have, but he's going to revive Chaos Ruler of its own effect, one of the best parts of that card. Then he's going to go in the show. He's going to do some damage. He can't destroy this card in battle. He can't destroy Klessa, but you still take the damage. And now he can just kind of use Xiao to basically just grind out the duel. And if his Dragon Maids ever live, you turn them into Seal, and then you just constantly revive them over and over again using the negation right there. His opponent is going to go for number 41, but this is also why you play Link monsters, so that you can go into those whenever you want. When you go into your Link monsters like Romulus, then basically you can just go into like Guard Dragon, combo. So this deck isn't actually stopped, even though Dragon Maids are fusion based and they have a bunch of high level cards, whether it be the fusions or just the dragon forms. You always have the ability to go into, you know, link monsters and they're unaffected by 41. Then you can just start pumping out your Shaos and, you know, have your negations and your disruptions, etc., etc. I really like the fact that this deck can also drop, like, you can use Tempest not just for summoning Shao, which we just saw him do right there, but you can also use, you know, you can also use it for these rank 7 plays, which that like really just kind of came out of nowhere. 2 invoke summons or 2 copies of Alistair on field, but if you're not dropping any of those fusion monsters, really what exactly are you doing? Book of the Law, completely useless. He would have needed Invocation to have any shot here, and maybe Purgatrio, but I don't even know if that would have honestly worked, because he could have tagged out for the dragon form, and then that would have triggered House, would have ended up blowing up the Purgatrio, and that pretty much would have been a wrap. Anyways, I'll show you guys really quickly what the deck list looks like on paper, and this one will be available in the description below. I call it Aura Pendulum, and you can see, much like a lot of Pendulum decks, it looks like a complete hot mess. I like it because even though the Dragon Maids did so much work, you don't really need to run that many of them. I'd imagine you're not really trying to draw them, because you can just summon them from your deck, obviously, with you know, the Guard Dragons and stuff like that. But mainly, even the deck just, you know, it's a Pendulum deck. It has so many ways of starting its initial combo, and then you go into the you know, beautiful Aura cards, and then that just kind of ends out the combo. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed those duels. If you did, give the video a thumbs up. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, and turn on that notification bell for daily videos.